Welcome back. You're still watching Daybreak on this 26th day of April 2022, a very important day, the second day of lying in state of the body of former President Mwai Kibaki, as Kenyans get an opportunity to pay their last respects. At this moment, the body is in the parliamentary buildings and, of course, being prepped for that process of Kenyans to get an opportunity to view it. And I will be introducing a gentleman here that I want Honorable Amos Kimunya to see before he leaves. He's a young man. He had never gone to school up until the age of 11. And when President Kibaki came into office in 2003, he joined Standard 1. He never had the opportunity of going to early childhood education, but cleared Standard 8 at the age of 19. Today, he is a graduate and he'll be joining us shortly to speak about how that impacted on them. Kioko, if you can join us here on set. He, like I told you, joined Standard 1 at the age of 11, and now he's a graduate of computer science, software engineering from Masinde Muriro University, and he's one of the many stories that can be told of Kenyans that were impacted directly by the programs of the government of Mwai Kibaki. And of course, there are many such stories across the country, but we found someone that can give us a representation and talk about their story. And when we spoke, he told me about the school he went to. I just want to bring it out. That is Kambusu Primary School in Kitui County, which is in Mwingi North constituency. And of course, having been one of those privileged learners to have had that impact from President Kibaki. Hi, good morning, Kioko.
Good morning, Sam.
It's good to see you here.
Pleasure.
And tell Kenyans and the honorable members who are here, because Honorable Kimunya was in government with President Kibaki from day one.
Yeah.
Is it from day 3 or 4?
From day 1.
Okay. So tell us about how that government changed your life.
Well, thank you so much, Sam. As you've said, my name is Kioko Mwinzi, and that tells you a lot. It introduces you to who I am. Mm-hmm. I don't actually have a baptismal name, so you can imagine where I come from, deep in the interior parts of Mwingi North. That's where I come from. And I would say that I'm among the first beneficiaries, that is to graduate in 2019. That's when I left campus. I did computer science, having joined school at the age of 11. So for all those years, I had been at home, hoping, behold, hope that someday a miracle will happen. Mm-hmm. My parents were they couldn't afford. My dad had 4 wives, no source of income. So you find that among my 9 siblings, the most learned by the time I started school had gone up to class 5, I think. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 5. That was most learned person. But I had all along believed that wasn't going to be my end. So I started working in the farms, looking after cattle in the farms for people, up to around 2000. That's when I heard about this Kibaki guy, that someone somewhere is thinking about introducing free education, whereby the students will not be paying anything. And I was like, I hope it happens. Mm-hmm. I remember praying for a Kibaki I didn't know, but I really prayed about it. And in 2002, that's when it happened. I heard that the guy became president. Mm-hmm. And I didn't care what was going to happen from there, because I wanted to go to school with the uniforms, I knew that my dream was to be realized. Mm-hmm. So I started asking around the schools, but unfortunately, most of the schools could not actually admit me. Mm-hmm. Owing to my age, my stature, I was a big boy. So most of the teachers actually would just tell me straight to my face, just go home, get a farm. After some few years, you can get yourself a family or something like that. So finally, out of 4 schools, 1 school that was about 10 kilometers away from our home is the one that picked me. And
You'd walk there every day?
Yeah.
10 kilometers?
10.
Honorable Amos Kimunya, as I let you go, your words to this young man.
Well, he's an example of resilience, and I believe there are so many who can learn from you. Yeah. Kenyans are generally very resilient and will really know what to do and patient. But we have a new generation that's, the so-called microwave. They want quick solutions. They will not invest faith, effort, will not want to think of traveling 10 kilometers per day, 20, 10 to 10 back to get an education. So, because people want things that are, here now that they can touch. And they need to learn. Some of us will, Lee will tell you his story, we all tell you our stories.
Right.
We didn't start on a silver platter. There are people who believe that I started off life as a minister. But to get there, it took a whole lot of that, and I'm so encouraged with this story of Kioko, yeah?
Yeah.
And I'm hoping there'll be many others out there who pick something from him and see when you're given an opportunity, take full advantage of it and stop looking at the problems you've had. Look at the opportunities that it can be opened through utilizing that chance you've been given. Better yourself better.
I think this is one of the best examples of how politics can impact lives. And when you listen to Kioko's story here, how many of such do you find in Nakuru County, and how has that informed your resolve to go for political office when you figure out the challenges that Kenyans go through?
Thank you. And first is to congratulate Kioko. And Kioko is the face of many Kenyans. Obviously, President Kibaki didn't know him, but his policies have changed his life. Maybe today he would still be somewhere back in the village, would be doing manual jobs. But through that education, he has transformed and has a skill that is globally accepted. So I think education changes everything. And that's one thing President Kibaki really believed in. If you want to change a country, you can get minerals, but without education, you'll not be able to exploit those minerals. You can get anything you want, but without education, without your people being educated, then you cannot be able to run. So I think this generation that came from the year 2002, especially those who came from underprivileged circumstances, because there's a certain degree in which a society can be unequal because of access to education. Those who access education have better jobs. Those who do not access education also have a lower probability of making it in life. So there's a sense in which we can perpetuate poverty through education. And like we say, education is the final equalizer. So giving everybody an opportunity to education, I think, is everything. And I'm happy that we are talking of a living testimony, somebody who can say, I was there, I did it, and here I am today. So we want to congratulate you, and also the many others who are touched by the programs that were brought under President Kibaki. There are very important social indicators, including education. It doesn't matter how big your GDP is when children cannot access education. It doesn't matter how big your GDP if all your people are trapped in poverty. So the issue of now it has moved from GDP to how many people are we able to transit from one level to the next level. How many millions have moved from poverty to middle income, from middle income to the next level? And I think this is a conversation that we'd want to do. And the best way to do it is through education. Education is a long-term emancipator. And I think Kibaki understood this from the very beginning. Otherwise, thank you, Kioko.
Thank you.
And on behalf of the millions who benefited, we want to congratulate you. And the opportunities are there. Just go with the same spirit. Thank you
so much.
Great, a very good point to put it at. And as we continue this, Kioko, let me get back to the story that you were telling me about, that you'd walk on a daily basis 10 kilometers to access your school and 10 kilometers back home. You did that for the 8 years?
No, I did that for 3 years. But what I did after I got the chance, I had to prove myself that I wasn't going to be bullying students, the other pupils, because I was big. So I settled down right in standard 1 to work. So I go down to work. And for the 3 years that I was in that school, Masukanioni Primary, I never dropped to position 2. I was always the best pupil in the class. So the schools that had previously rejected me actually started asking me to go back to them. So, however, when I decided to join the nearest school, which is Kambusu that I told you about, I had heard that they wanted me to join. But when I went there, they were like, the classes are full, but we would really want you to join us. So I didn't really know what they meant. But I decided I wasn't going back to the other school because I had suffered for 3 years and it was taking a toll on me. So I stayed with them, like by force. I would sneak to classes. Some teachers would chase me. Others would just let me in. Yeah. So finally, when we did the exam, I was in position 1.
So you started an examination, yet you are not a registered?
Yes, I was not registered. Yeah, I did the exam. When they asked money for the exam, I just paid. It was 20 shillings. So I got it paid, and I did the exam, and I was the best pupil. So they had to get
Standard 3 or 4?
Standard 3 now. Standard 3, yeah. So it was 2 years the other school. The third year, I came to Kambusu. So it's Standard 3 now.
Right.
That is 2005. Yes.
So you told me that since you were born up until 2002, you had never stepped into a class.
I had back in around 97. I tried, but I was going with my elder brothers who are in, I think, Standard 3, around there.
Okay.
But then at some point, the mom could not raise the money that was required. So
how much was it?
It was about 100. Yeah, I think 100 per head. She couldn't raise it. And because I was the youngest, I was told to stay at home until maybe later on. So even that later on, my brother so dropped out because even theirs wasn't forthcoming. So I stayed at home, waiting and hoping.
So let's get back to, you're now in Standard 3, you've become position 1.
Yeah.
Now you are registered.
So they
Enrolled you.
They registered me in second term. Yeah, they didn't call me, so I just started appearing registers. They would call my name, so I was like, oh, become a member here. Yeah, that was near, because it was about 4 kilometers.
Okay.
Yeah.
And were you the only one who now was in school from home, or your siblings now had also joined?
So I had my brother who had joined with me from the other school, so I came with him there.
Okay.
So we joined with him, we went through the same struggle. We were in the same class.
And the rest, did they finish?
No, they never did.
To date?
No.
Okay. So now, still carrying on, at the time you were in Standard 3, how old are you?
So I was about 14 now. Yeah,
14.
14.
And you're in school with 7, 8-year-olds.
Yeah.
How was that?
It was challenging because mostly in case of anything happening, everybody would be like, it must be you. It must be you, you know. You are the biggest here, so it must be you caused this. So, but at some point, I think teachers started accepting me that I was in for studies and not to bully anyone. And considering my continued performance from the other school to this other school, they realized I was in search for education, and they started accepting me. So it became, I started feeling at home. Yeah, although it would always feel demeaning, you know, you are studying with kids, very small ones, some are like, yeah.
Did it affect you?
Not really, not as much.
Did you have friends in your class?
No.
Okay, we'll talk about that shortly. Yeah. Dr. Nyikal, welcome back. I'm still with Kioko Mwinzi here, who, like I told you earlier on, is a beneficiary of the free primary education. And first of all, your reaction to the story of Kioko, but also how many, especially from your constituency in Seme, would have a similar story like Kioko?
I think there would be many from my constituency who would have a similar story, except that we can't pinpoint them, but there are many. But to me, this demonstrates how political statement, political intention to change something can, if properly managed, can translate to benefits to individuals. So that the statement, which as he says he had in 2000, that somebody is coming who wants to give free primary education. Come 2002, it is actually there and he takes advantage of it. Now that is now, you have an intention, you have a policy, you pass it through politically, then you actually implement it through the structures, and eventually the results are there. So it's really great. And so I think this story tells us that when we have a vision politically, we must follow it through and allow it to mature.
Thank you so much, Dr. James Nyikal. He's the Member of Parliament for Seme constituency.
Okay.
Also former Principal Secretary and a former Director of Medical Services. I'm still here in studio with Kioko Mwinzi, who was telling us about his story of how he benefited from the free primary education to the extent that he joined Standard 1 at the age of 11. You had gotten to the point of telling me your relationship with the fellow pupils in Standard 3. You were 14 years old at that time. Your classmates were either 8 or 7 years. So who are your friends in school?
Honestly, what I did was to recline to myself. So I became an introvert, straight. Like, I wouldn't talk to anyone. I was just a man of my own kind. So I lived my life alone. And it felt better that way, because they wouldn't understand what I was going through, because all the challenges, I wouldn't face them alone. And it was better that way, rather than broadcasting everything to them.
You didn't have friends in the senior classes?
No. What I would have, I would call them friends. They're just people I would inquire, maybe ask for assistance with questions, things like those. They were there, those ones, especially actually even from other schools. So I would, because from our home, I had to walk like about 5 kilometers somewhere to get someone to study with.
Yeah.
That is one, to hide myself, the real identity from the colleagues. So mostly I would work with the students from other schools. So like asking.
So there were not many like you in school? Not many of you had been so underprivileged to miss a position in school before the free primary education?
They were there, yes, but most of them you find that they were people who I could not identify with.
Okay.
Yes, because I considered myself to be a bit lower than everybody else. So I would feel better alone or with people who don't know much about me.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So tell me about, at that time, being in school, the student population, the pupil population, how was it? And was it a direct outcome of the free primary education?
Let's say around 60% was as a result of free primary education. Because actually I remember like in a whole class you'll find like 50% of the students do not even have the school uniforms. So that tells you these are people who have just come in because of the free primary program. Yes, so I would say that most of the students enrolled at that time because of the free primary education, and without it, they would have been outside there.
So in 2010, you sit your KCP. How was it preparing for that alongside your fellow pupils? Now, at least now they are grown, they're about 13 or 14.
So continuously I worked alone. I became a loner, even in my performances. Like I would sometimes get 400 maybe, and you find that the second one is struggling down there, you know. So what I did, I decided not to compete with anyone in my school and just set my own targets. Although there had been some students performing before me, but my bar was somewhere else because I really wanted to go to a national school. That was my target. And So I would work alone mostly, but I had people I would like to emulate sometimes.
Right.
But mostly I was working alone, and I used to do something, I used to call it transnighting. So I would study
What night?
transnighting.
Oh, transnighting, okay.
That is studying from 7 in the evening to 7 in the morning.
Wow, when did you sleep?
I wouldn't sleep. So mostly I would do that during the weekends.
Okay, okay. So what did you score in primary school?
I got 358.
358. And where did you go to?
I went to Lenana.
How is that? It's a national school.
Lenana School is a national school.
The cutoff would have been higher than that.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Actually, I freaked when I got those results. Because the final exam I had done, I had 415, I think. So coming now to the KCP, I get 358. Like, actually, I remember I screamed my lungs out because I was like, I'm done, you know. I set my bar there because I knew at least if I get 400,
Easier for you.
the sponsorships would be forthcoming or something like that. So when I didn't get that, it scared me. But I don't know how it happened. I didn't go to Mangu because I wanted to go to Mangu, but God gave me a chance at Lenana School, and it was a dream accomplished.
That's what I'm asking. How did that happen? Because the cutoff points would have been higher than that.
So what happened, I was the best in the district.
Okay, okay.
In the public school categories. And in the year 2010, I think they were using the regions to ensure that there is that balancing.
Okay.
So I think that's how I survived.
So how was your experience at Lenana?
Traumatizing, I would say.
Why?
I expected to get a scholarship when I passed because there was nothing at home, absolutely nothing.
Who paid for you?
So initially, during the enrollment, there was nobody to pay. So what I did, I left home with 10,000. I don't know where mom got that 10,000 from, but I left home with only 10,000 in my pocket as the school fee, the everything, shopping and everything. So I didn't have a school uniform. So remember, my shoes were only slippers. So I left with my slippers, went to Lenana the same way. So some people decided to get me a box and a little bit of shopping before I got to school. But that's how I went to school, in slippers, without school uniform, and no school fees. So when I arrived there, I remember I lost my consciousness or something happened. Because I found some guys had come with choppers, some guys had been, there are cars everywhere. You are in a t-shirt. It's not a school uniform. I remember at the gate, the watchman stopped me. And they were like, where are you going like this? And I'm like, I'm supposed to be admitted here. So finally what happened is that the guidance and counseling department had my story. Because when I arrived there and saw what was happening, I knew I wasn't going to be admitted. So I went back somewhere behind the administration block and slept. Just slept, literally, completely. Slept there like for around an hour. So my mom later came with the guidance and counseling HOD. She picked me. I'm forever grateful for her. Her name was Reverend Masika. She's the mother to the singer. So she picked me and she told me one thing. Kioko, you're going to study here. And those words gave me the confidence again to stand up again and pursue the dream that I had all those years. So she took me, she clothed me. Literally like top to bottom. Together with the housemaster. So they bought for me everything that I needed to be admitted. And so at around 4, that's when I was sent to my house. That is, Carrie Francis was my house. So I never lined to be admitted because I didn't have any school uniform. There were no things to be inspected. So I was taken straight to the admission table, given the admission number, there were no inspection, sent straight to the house. And that's how my life began at Lenana.
So eventually you got, that Reverend Masika is the one who sponsored you?
She didn't sponsor me, but she ensured that I got the chance to be there.
Okay.
So now the journey of pain and turmoil began there. Because you realize that, yes, I've been through free primary education. I have no helper, no sponsor, no nothing at that point. So back then, Kalonzo Musyoka was the vice president. So my mom went to plead a case to him. So he said he was going to pay the school fees for me. So, and actually he did. For Form 1, Form 2. 2013 was an electioneering year. He was not elected. So what happened? He withdrew. And I'm left at Lenana to pay over 100,000 with nobody else in forthcoming.
So fast forward, you see your KCSE, which year was this?
That is 2014.
2014.
Yes.
How did you fare?
What?
How did you fare in KCSE?
I got an A-. Yes.
How many points?
77.
77. Congratulations for that.
Thank you.
So you get an A- and now you go to join Masinde Muliro University, right? And you choose a course. I mean, for you, when you reflect back to that day in 2000 or 2001, and see there was no sign of hope, and now you're where you are, what comes to mind on such a time that the country mourns President Kibaki?
I'm just grateful to the great leadership of Mwai Kibaki. And actually, I would say, even though we say that he's dead, to me, he's not dead. Because to me, he is, and he remains to be a godparent. Not just for me, but for millions of kids like me. So, and godfathers or godparents never die. They just transition.
Right.
But I believe that wherever he is today, he'll still continue watching over us. And his spirit shall live on through us. The millions of kids who went to school because of him.
Did you ever meet him?
No, I never got to meet him.
You never wished to? Or you never got a chance?
I never got a chance. Yes, so,
So
I tried once, but you know, the protocols and all that, I never did.
Okay.
Yeah.
And have you made an attempt to go at least pay your last respects to Parliament, at Parliament?
Today I will.
You will?
Yeah.
So when you meet a young person, because you've been through it all, I mean, it's a painful journey to where you are, to an extent that you cannot even make friends from your classmates. I mean, that's quite heavy.
Yeah.
But when you meet friends, younger children that are in a similar situation, what do you say to them? And what would you say to them?
Sam, honestly, I tell this story to so many kids. Actually, right now I'm teaching, though it's a classical school, but they also do the KCSE exam, the NEC exams. But I always tell them one thing: never stop dreaming. Always dare to dream. You'll face the challenges. That's definitely going to happen. Because the reason as to why I told you my experience at Lenana was traumatizing was there were so many painful experiences as I was trying to get the school fees mostly. Actually, there's a time I walked all the way from Lenana because it's in Karen. And I walked all the way past Thika, past Makongeni, went all the way to Matu. Matu, I don't know, maybe those who drive can tell us how many kilometers it is from Karen to Matu on your way to Mwingi. And at that point, I remember I hadn't eaten anything. So it was at midnight, around 12 midnight. And I hadn't eaten. So what happened is that all strength went out and I couldn't walk anymore. So I sat down somewhere People came, I don't know how they noticed that I was in trouble. And they changad some money for me. I was taken to hospital because actually I was in a very bad state. At that point, I was in Form 3. I'd like decided, let me go home, even if it's for a year, then I'll come back. So such things can traumatize you to an extent that you can give up in your dream. But a kid out there who has a dream, let him or her hold on to their dream. Dreamers never die.
And now you're a graduate. What are you doing with your degree? First of all, what was it? Computer science, software engineering?
Yes.
So what have you been doing with it since graduating in 2019?
I haven't been able to venture into my career. So what I'm doing right now, I've got to survive. So that means I have to work like anything that comes along. So I started a startup company for software, but it wasn't really developing. So what I did, I just shifted to employment. That's why I went to a classical school, gave me a job. So currently I'm teaching. I'm a maths and computer teacher.
Okay.
There, yeah.
And your family, how are they doing?
They are well. Actually, I managed to take my small brother to school. So currently, he's actually in third year. Yeah.
Interesting. What is he studying?
Building and construction engineering.
Which university?
Masinda Muliro.
Masinda Muliro, or the same university like you did.
Exactly.
I mean, Kioko Mwinzi, I mean, this is quite a story, I have to say, and we are grateful that at least you got that opportunity through the politics and the policies of President Kibaki to get to this situation. And obviously, like Honorable Nikal said, there are many stories like yours of people that have gone through the same process. And today they can say that they got a chance to be where they are. So we can only wish you well and hope that at least you've already inspired your brother, which is a good thing. So the spirit lives on, like you said. And like I said, very important to be sharing these stories and exemplifying how politics influence real lives.